What if you could pause time for everyone but yourself? Let's say you gain the ability to pause time. You snap your fingers and everyone except you freezes in place. The world goes silent. You can walk around, do whatever you want, and then unpause everything to pick up right where it left off. Sounds great, right? Well, let's think about what pausing time actually means. If time stops for everything except you, that means all the atoms and molecules around you stop moving. Air molecules stop vibrating, light stops traveling, and this creates some immediate problems. First, you'd be blind. Vision works because photons bounce off objects and hit your eyes. But if time is paused, photons aren't moving, they're frozen in place. You'd be standing in complete darkness because no light is reaching your eyes. Even if we handwave the vision problem and say you can somehow see, you'd have a much bigger issue. You can't breathe. Air molecules have stopped moving. When you try to inhale, you're trying to pull frozen air into your lungs. It would be like trying to breathe solid concrete. You would suffocate within minutes. Let's say we handwave that too. Maybe you get to bring a little bubble of unpaused space with you, just enough to keep the air around you moving so you can see and breathe. Now we have different problems. If you try to move, you'd be pushing through a world of stationary air molecules. Air, when it's not frozen in time, is pretty easy to move through. But frozen air, you'd be creating a vacuum behind you and compressing the air in front of you. Walking would feel like pushing through water or maybe something thicker, and the faster you try to move, the harder it gets. You also can't really interact with anything. If you try to pick up a frozen coffee cup, you're trying to accelerate an object from zero velocity to whatever speed you're moving your hand. But without time passing, the cup isn't chemically updating its chemical bonds. You'd probably just shatter it into pieces or push your hand through it like it's made of sand. And here's a really weird one. Heat transfer requires time. If you touch a frozen object, no heat flows between you and it. So everything you touch would feel like it's the same temperature. You'd lose all sense of hot and cold. Actually worse, you'd probably start heating up because your body generates heat, but that heat has nowhere to go. You can't radiate it away because thermal radiation requires time. You'd essentially cook yourself. But let's ignore all the physics and say you've got magic time pause powers that let you see, breathe, move, and interact with things normally. What could you actually do? Well, you could walk into a bank vault and take money, but those bills have serial numbers. Use them and you'll eventually get caught. You could move objects around and prank people, but honestly, after a few days, that would get boring. You could study, freeze time, read every book in a library, unpause, and suddenly you're the smartest person alive. Except reading takes time, your time. If you freeze the world for what feels like a year so you can read, you've aged a year while everyone else stayed the same age. Do this too much and you'll be 80 years old while your friends are still 30. And that's the real cost of pausing time. Every second you spend in frozen time is a second you're spending alone. No conversations, no relationships, no experiences with other people. You could pause time to sleep 8 hours every night, and from everyone else's perspective, you never sleep, but you're still aging. You're still living those hours. So if you could pause time for everyone but yourself, the smart move would be to use it sparingly. A few seconds here or there to avoid an awkward conversation maybe. A few minutes to think through a big decision. But anything more than that, and you're just trading time with other people for time alone. And honestly, that doesn't sound like a superpower. That sounds like a curse.